trying to come up, just a few minutes. Okay, so welcome everyone. So last week we looked at some very brief configuration concept, but the first thing we did was to log into the system. So I'm just going to do that. Sorry. So please, if you have the time, go through the video sessions. We talked about the different navigation options in SAP. We talked about the menu bar. We talked about the toolbars and the functions. We have, creating new screen, closing a page, going next, previous page, first page, and the rest of them. We talked about different ways you can navigate through the SAP system, through transaction codes, through the favorites, and through the menu parts, right? And we also went ahead to talk about the enterprise structure of SAP, where we looked at basically, like we said, all your configuration in SAP follows the standard blueprint document in the project. So for example, this blueprint document has to have to do with all the requirements you have gathered from the different different phases, prepare phase and explore phase, and all the workshop you have done, all the requirement gatherings, all the specifications, all that are represented in the business blueprint. And you can see that in FI, why FI is the foundation of all modules is because without the enterprise structure, without the client, you cannot do anything. So it's the responsibility of the FI module to set up the enterprise structure. And what is the enterprise structure? It basically has to do with how the organization is being structured. So in SAP, we have the first structure, which is the client. When you're logging into an SAP system, as I've explained, you log into a server. We talked about that. We say we log into the dev server, which is a client. After the client, we have the what we call the naming conventions, which are the different clients. We're working with client 400, which is the dev system. Right, different systems have different clients, right? So we went to look at the company where we said that immediately after the client, what you have in the structure is a company. We said that a company is basically an entity that at the end of the year or at the end of the period prepares financial statements. But the main goal of the company is to be able to consolidate the different company codes. A company code represents an operational company. The company itself represents a consolidation element in SAP that is used to consolidate all the different company codes. And from the diagram here, you can see that at the base of this square or this rectangular figure object, you have the company. On top of the base, you have the company code. So what it means is that you can have only one company, but you can assign a lot of company codes to one company. So let me use a practical example, right? Amazon has offices in different countries. Amazon has in different locations of the world. Those different locations are called the company codes, right? And in the structure of SAP, you have only one company. Every other company code goes under that company, which is basically the one at the HQ. What the company object does is to help you consolidate. Consolidate means you bring all the company codes together for ease of reporting. So you can report on the financials of the group, So company is used for consolidation. Company codes are operational entities that you can use to also prepare your financial statements. So last time we were able to navigate through how we could create a company. I'm just doing a wrap up. Please, what's the T code to go to the customization screen?
SPRO.
SPRO. So we said that the transaction code to go to the back end, which we call the customizing screen or the reference ING, that's implementation guide, is SPRO. So when you go to SPRO, it takes you to the back of the SAP S/4HANA system. It is at the back at the configuration screen that you actually do your configurations. All your configurations happen at the implementation screen. So the first thing we said last time is to look at the enterprise structure. And we went to the enterprise structure, which is the way the company is structured. We looked at the definition of the structure. And under that, we had the financial accounting, controlling. So in the structure of the enterprise structure, we have to define some very important elements, right? So the first we worked on was financial accounting, and we were able to discuss on the basic structures like define company, credit control area, which is used for credit terms. We did our company code, we defined business area, functional area. So please reference the previous video and just follow the steps. Also, if you have the ECC system, this is the same process. When we get to the place where the changes are, I will also let you know. But if you also have the ECC system, this didn't change. Right, so we're able to define some of these areas, and that is where we stopped. Now we're going to also continue in this class. Because we also have an SD person here, we're also going to be defining some elements in sales and distribution. These elements are also used for the sales process. So the SD consultant in a project will do these configurations. Also at the logistics side, I think the SD consultant is also going to be working at the logistics part of the configuration screen. So I'm just going to rush through that, then we can continue. We can just move the class along. So for the SD person, still the same menu parts. Like I said also that you can get the transaction codes by right-clicking on the activity icon, go to technical display information, and you will see the last 4 digits of the document name is the transaction code. So you can either go through this menu part or you go through the transaction codes to run your transactions. So the first is to define. So for the sales part, we're going to be defining the sales organization. Sales organization is basically the company that handles the sales, which would also have to assign to the company code. So for your sales organization, which would be the entity responsible for the sales, and it's the highest hierarchy in the SD configuration module. Sales organization is the highest hierarchy. In FI, company is the highest hierarchy, as we have seen. Okay, so we will define sales organization by just clicking that. You can also copy from existing sales organizations. So let me go to define sales organization. I'm just going to rush through this while we go back to the finance screen. Okay, I'm seeing we're having some network issues. Okay, so we have already existing sales organization. So I'll just have to copy. Like I said, if you want to copy, just click on the box by the side of the item. Then you can use the copy icon. So I'm just going to, you can also create new, no issues. You can also, create new entries. Yeah. In cases where you see this icon, it's always advisable you copy if it's necessary. So I'm going to also be guiding you through that. So I click on copy our sales organization. Please, what's our company code?
Company code is IBTC.
Okay, so IBTC is also our sales organization. Please note it down. Sales organization for IBTC. The statistical currency we are going to be using is USD. Yeah. Then every other thing is fine. This has to do with the printouts, the header text, the footer text, the sales organization calendar. Let's see the calendar that is existing. Okay, so this is the German calendar. We can change this to the US. So I'm just going to do that. United States. Okay. US. So to change the statistical currency, change the sales organization calendar and click on enter to confirm. Changing the status causes data inconsistency. It's fine. Say okay. Okay, so once you say okay, to bring you to the address of your sales organization, so we're just going to run through that company. It's IBTC Nigeria Limited, IBTC. So you provide the search time, provide the house number. You can say 23, 5-digit postal code. Country is the US, state is LA. Please, you can use any country of your choice to do this transaction, just using the US because by standard, the functionality in the US is quite okay. Then I'll say okay. Then I'll click on save. So I've successfully, now remember I told you about the customizing request. So I'm going to go to own request or create new sales organization. So you have to create the essence of the request, like I've said in the last session, is to be able to help you with transporting your configurations. So I'm going to click on save and I'm going to say okay. So the first configuration at the SD side is actually to define the sales organization. Okay, so that's done. Can save again. So go back. You can copy. Okay, we have already created one, so it's fine. Then the next is to define the distribution channel that you're going to use when you want to distribute the item to the customer. So you can go to define distribution channel, double click on that. So we have these options: domestic, exports, I think 01 is fine. So we can use any of this distribution channel. So I can copy and say real. I can just say R1. Distribution channel. Okay, I'll save this. So please write for me. The distribution channel is R1. The SD person should be writing this also. So we can now maintain sales office. A sales office is basically a department or within the organization, the people, the office or the department responsible for sales within the organization. So I'm going to execute that. So we have 2 sales offices here. I'm just going to copy. I can anyways just click on new entries, or I can copy. The essence of copying, like I said, is to retain the standard configs that SAP has done. So I'll click on copy. I'll just change the sales office to, so you can say IB. You can say, okay, let's say IBTC. So our sales office dash IBTC. So please note down our sales office is IBTC, company name IBTC 4-digit codes, 5-digit code, country, the US, LA, and say okay. So the system will automatically trigger these addresses. If it doesn't trigger these addresses, if you create new, then you have to always come to this address icon to create. So I'm going to create another one and show you. So you save, you can create yours and call this sales office. So that if you want to transport the sales office config, it's easy. So for example, if I say new, I'm going to say IBT2 at second sales office, IBTC2. Then I need to come here and click on address. If you don't do that, when you're posting, you have issues with your configuration. You always have to put address. IBTC 23, number, US. These are standard information that should be available for you from the client, so you can save. So I have 2 sales offices. Then you can also define the sales group. Sales groups are those within the sales offices that manage the sales. So we can say IBTC. So sales group is IBT. So sales group for Southeast zone or US zone. You can enter, then you save. So my sales group has been created. My sales group has been created. Sorry for that break. So I'm going to save that. So I've created these 4 important elements within the sales and distribution area. So we're going to go to finance now. We also have to create this very important information here for the logistics. Logistics will have to do with the process of moving the items from the customers from your warehouse or from your shop to the customer's location. That is also handled with this SD team. So we can also define the warehouse. So we can define the warehouse from where we're picking these things from. So we can copy this. So we can call please take note of this IBW, which is warehouse for IBTC. You can enter and save. So it will ask you for so I think this is warehouse. Save. Say okay. Then we have created the warehouse number. Once you do this, let me see. Okay, so the warehouse number is IBW and the description is warehouse for IBTC. All right, so this say check. Let's see if we'll check. Okay, I think we have it existing already. So there'll be no need for this. I think I just need to wait for this.
I guess, is it not the glass with the pen? You have to, if you want to check, you press the glass and the pen to check it.
This is to display, but we don't have anything we're displaying now.
Okay.
So to check, you just go to the warehouse number, check if you will see your IBW. I believe it's there, so no issues. We don't need this. So the next thing is to define shipping points. All right, shipping points is where you're going to be picking, where your customers are going to be picking if they are not supplying directly to your warehouse, or if you as the business is not supplying directly to the customer's warehouse. If you have another warehouse location where the customers are supposed to pick their goods from, that's your shipping point. That's at the point where you're going to ship. It could be the plant, production plant. So you can define a shipping point. You can always copy, you can always create new. So I like copying because if you create new, you might not know the technical terms for all these requirements. So it's always good to copy the standard. So shipping point we can say is IB shipping point, IBSP. Please note that down. Shipping point is IBSP rather. Oh, now the country is DE, so we might have a problem with this. So I'm not going to save this.
Now the DE is Germany.
Yes, let me check. This is Germany. So I might need to create something new, but I need to also take note of this. Can you do a screenshot so you give me these information, especially these ones?
Just wait. Let me do the screenshot.
Okay, I think just do that from here.
Okay.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so I'll just click on new entries. Yeah, so see everything is new, so I can just do IBSP.
It looks as if the country is gray there.
Yes, I'm seeing that. It will open up. Let's see what opens up. 01 is the factory calendar.
Yeah.
01 should be for Germany. Yes, so I'm going to US. I think US own is US. Working times, You can just see one. Loading times, C default.
C is default, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the system is trying to load.
I don't know, maybe you have, if you click, then maybe with the right button you see the boxes where you can select from. I don't know. Like this
Yeah, it will come over.
Okay.
So NEPA, I think they have showed up. So we're not going to end the class. We'll continue. I have power now.
Okay.
So just few seconds. Just give me a few minutes. Let me charge this. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the loading time, no loading time determination. So we're going to keep that open. So we will not be able to specify. Pickup time C by default.
C, yeah.
So we can use any shipping time in the future. Hours per week, 8 hours. Just do that. Then we have text names. So
ADRS underscore sender.
Okay.
And ADRS underscore header.
These are forms. These are the printout forms.
ADRS footer. I think footer. Signature is the last one. Signature is the greeting.
Okay.
Footer is that one. ADRS underscore signature.
Okay.
So the other
Anything
side,
on the out type?
Yeah, empty.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, so I'll just click on enter. Okay, so let me check. I think this is existing for Germany. Okay, so I'll just leave this. It's not required here. Working times, yeah.
If you select that, does it not open?
Where?
Okay, now continue.
Okay. So
maybe
so when I clicked on
country is not allocated, that's why.
Yeah, so when you're done with entering this, you go to the address bar. Like I said, when you're creating new, you always have to check if there's an address for the item you're creating. It's important. So I'll pick the address bar.
Okay, Chuku.
Yeah, I've muted him. So put IBTC, the code, country. So this is where the country comes up, and the region. and we have the phone number. And we can say okay. So you see the country has come up here. Are you guys there?
Yes.
Yes.
So it is at the address that you can define the country that should be in this particular location.
Okay.
So click on save. Okay, so I've done this. So click on save and say okay. So you can. What were we trying to create?
I guess
Shipping point.
Shipping point.
Click on enter. Remember, this is for SD, guys. So it's just
Yes.
a brief FISD. Okay, Chuku, please, can you mute? Can you always mute yourself? Don't need to unmute yourself. Please don't unmute yourself. Okay, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to go. So we have a shipping point where we're going to be moving our shipping. The next thing we need to define is a loading point. Loading point could also be your shipping point. That's why it's bringing shipping point here. So I can say IBTC.
I think you have to connect them or something like that, right?
No.
Shipping point is IBSP.
What is my IB what?
IBSP.
Okay, so once you put the shipping point, because shipping point, loading point is done most times at the shipping point. So we can just say new entries and just define loading point. Loading point is IBSP. So just loading point, we can say IB, which is IBTC. Responsibility is for the warehouse manager.
Okay.
Click on enter, then I'll save this. So I saved it inside the customization request for shipping point. Now the next is maintain transportation planning. There's a module called transport, SAP transport management, TM. They are the ones that this process belongs to them. So we're not going to be doing anything on this. We're not planning transportation. Ours is to make sure that the loading point and the shipping point is defined. The transportation planning will be done by the TM consultant. But you can just click on it. So you see that the transportation planning point will be linked to your company code. So what I will do is let's just copy. Let's say our transportation point is IBTC. Please note that down. IBPT. TP rather. City is LA. Then our company code. We're trying to map the transportation point to the company code, which is IBTC. Then click on enter. Then you have to also provide the address. Remember to always check if the config has an address. And you save. So here we can call this transportation points. Then you save. So we have walked through the SD and some part of the logistics, which is related to the SD. So basically, like I said before, your configuration depends on what is on the blueprint. So for the SD person, you can now understand that part of your requirement gathering would be what is your sales organization? What are your distribution channels? Do you have a sales office? Do you, I mean, is your firm structured in such a way that you have a sales group? Where do you maintain a warehouse? Do you maintain a shipping point? All this information you will have to get when you do your requirement gathering.
But Kelechi, I
So
have a
that's
question.
yes, please.
In SAP, you also have like people that these people that buy to wholesale or end customer. I think I've forgotten what they call that one. I think you also have to define it. If somebody is buying from you, is it for a wholesaler or for a retailer? I think there's something from that one also as well.
Yeah,
Customer or something.
we're still those things would come when we get into SD proper. For
Yeah.
now, there's no such
It's just the
requirement.
organizational structure, yes.
We're still at the structure. Okay, so we're going to be leaving SD. We also would come back to this. Now we have actually done the first thing, which is definition. We are still at the definition point. The next thing we're going to do once we have defined the enterprise structure is to do assignment, and that's where we continue for the FI. Assignment is basically mapping of the enterprise structure. So, for example, if I go, remember, is still in the same SPRO, is still on the same screen. So you come to enterprise structure and you come to assignment. Then for assignment, we'll look at financial accounting. Then these are what we are supposed to assign. So we're going to be assigning company code to company. Why do we need to do the assignment? So that it will flow in a hierarchical structure, just like what we have this. So before the assignment, this company code is somewhere at this side, and this company is somewhere at the left-hand side. The assignment it's what to create this beautiful merger of company code and company in the way you see it. That's the essence of the assignment. So the assignment is to bring the structures together, so that is to bring the org structure together so that they can have a flow of how the organizational structure looks like. So let me just do a Google. Let me show us what I mean. So this is what okay, let me see. So this is exactly what I mean. So you see that this is FI, but this basically is speaking to asset accounting, because you have chart of depreciation and all that. But the idea of this is to show you how what enterprise structure looks like. So let me open this in let me copy this image so that it will look very big, so that this will help us here. So I'm just going to do this. I'll not save this, but let me just show us what I mean. Okay, so you can see this structure. Okay. So you can see that the company is ABC group of companies. Can you see that, guys? Is my screen large enough?
Yes.
Yeah, for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just do something. Okay, this should be very bold now. So you can see the structure. The first is company. Just as we have had in the structure here, the first in definition is define company. That's just the way it is in this org structure. So the first is company. Like I said, company is the HQ, is the group of all companies. Company is where you do consolidation. Under the company, you have the various company codes that are the actual operational companies. So company is just please, okay, Chuku, can you not unmute yourself? Right? Thank you. So
No, I'm muted.
so basically we have the company codes that are individual companies that make up a group. And as we go on, we're going to see some other structures. We have looked at the segment, we have looked at the profit centers, we have looked at the business areas. So these are this is just so the essence of assignment is to create this flow, this black diagram here is what assignment is all about, so that we can link the company codes to the company and every other organizational object that we have created so far. That's the essence of assignment. So we're just going to rush through that. So for assignment, we're just going to go to assignment, select financial accounting. So the first assignment we're doing is assign company code to company, which is basically what this arrow is speaking to. So we're going to click. Now, if the list is too long and you have this option here called position, you can use the position to search. So I'll go to position, going to search for my company. I know it's IBTC. Then you can see that IBTC doesn't have IBTC company code is not yet assigned to a company. So to do the assignment, you can, if you don't remember the code of the company, you can always use this drop down. I know that the company is IBTC, so I have IBTC here. So select IBTC. You have done the assignment at the mapping of company code to company. Then you save. So I'm just going to call it one name, assignment. I'm not going to be creating, they don't have the time to always create all that. You know now why we have to do that. So we're done with the first assignment. The second assignment is to map the company code to the credit control area. So I'm going to assign that. So company code, I'm going to search IBTC. It's already mapped. But I think our credit control area was different. Our credit control area was IBTC. So we'll have to change it. And we say it can be overwritten. No, this is what we want. Then you save. Yeah. So we have done the second assignment. The third assignment is to assign business area to consolidation business area. So go to business area. In the last class, we created this objects. I think we use IBTC for business area, consolidated business area. You have to map it. And we save. So the second phase of your configuration is your assignments. Then the next is assign company code to financial management area. We didn't do this. Assign profit center to company code, not yet. So we're not going to be using, these will come as the class proceeds. So we have done with the assignment in finance. The assignment in controlling will happen when we go to the CEO module. Not yet. Let's look at the logistics. Assign plant to company code. We have not created our plant. So what I will do for the sales, let me go to definition, logistics, and define plant. So I'll just do this. So plant is where the actual production happens. I'm just going to copy from the US, copy. So the plant would be IBTC. Please write that down, IBTC. Our plant is IBTC, plant for IBTC group. English, US, everything is fine. You can assign this to a company code, which is IBTC. Okay, this is not IBTC. Okay. Oh, this country code.
It's
County.
county.
Oh, county. Okay.
The American county.
Yeah, so I'll click on the calendar is in Germany, so I'll change this to US. Click on enter to ask me for address. Company IBTC. See address. LA. Add here the name too, then you click on save. It's still under, okay, we can change this to plant. So our plant is IBTC. Plant is normally a materials management configuration. So the MM guys are the people responsible for creating plants. Okay, so we're done with this. You can save twice, no problem. This is fine. So this is for logistics, so we're not going to be going deep into these details. So assignment, we're going to go for in logistics, we just have this assignment we're going to do. Business area to plant is FI, the one of the integration between FI and MM. So assign plant to company code. This is integration between FI and MM also. We might need this, so I'm just going to, my company code is not here yet, so I'll just go to new entries. My company code is IBTC, plant is IBTC, so I'm just mapping company code to plant, and I'll save. So this is when they say integration between FI and MM, this is one of the points. Assign business area to plant. We have already created our business area. So we will not be evaluation area as division. So let's see. So this is mapped. Let me see I think I'm going to be using plant or evaluation areas. So have we created a division? No. So I'm going to leave this, guys. I don't want to go deep into this. So let's just leave this. Logistics. I've done the first assignment. Go to SD, which is our main focus. Assign sales organization to company code. So this is one of the integration points between FI and SD. Remember, FI is responsible for creating the company code. SD is responsible for creating the sales organization. So when they say that when we have when we're doing testing and we're doing integration testing, these are the kind of things you look out for. The first thing is, where are the integration points between the various modules? This is where the SD consultant will sit with the FI consultant, and they're going to be doing this mapping. right? Because the SD guy will tell the FI guy which sales organization is supposed to map the company code to. So this is an example of what we do in the realize phase and deploy phase when we talk about checking for system integrations. So this is the beginning of the integration points between FI and SD. So I'm going to execute this. Please, timekeeper, remember to let me know when it's 1 hour. Right?
In 4 minutes.
No, just give me extra 30 minutes.
That's okay. That's 7:30.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so for the sales organization, we don't have our sales. Okay, IBTC is here, but you see, IBTC is not yet assigned to any company code. So it's when we do this assignment, we can see there's integration between FI and SD. This is one of the integration points between FI and SD. So our company code is IBTC. So I've provided that integration point and I'll say save. So I will call this I'll call this SD assignment. So okay, so the first is done. Assign distribution channel to sales organization. So we have to create that flow. So go there. Our sales org is not here yet. So let's click on new. Let's check if we, okay, IBTC is there. Distribution channel. What's our distribution channel? R1. I created R1. Please take note if you didn't write it down. R1 is our distribution channel.
Yes, R1 is distribution channel.
So we click on save. So what we're doing, like I said, is to link the individual objects we have created so that we kind of have an organized structure of the way transactions will flow.
And Kelechi, you said this is done in the realize phase and the explore phase, right?
This is basically because at this point, the FI, the SD guy would not know the correct objects to integrate with. But you see, as sales organization to distribution channel is solely an SD responsibility. So they can go ahead and, once they do configuration, they can go ahead and do these assignments because it's within the SD. It is integration is when the SD person wants to integrate with another module, let's say MM, and he doesn't have the details. So you have to wait for the consultant that did that particular configuration to give you the parameters to use.
Okay.
So yes, this
is done in the realize phase. That's or the explore phase.
No, it can be explore. Realize is when you start doing configuration.
Okay.
When you start doing your configuration and when you're deploying is to test the integrations. That's one of the things that happens there.
Okay.
Assign division to sales organization. I'm not sure we created a division, so let me check.
No, we didn't create.
We didn't create division, so we might just assign it to an already existing division. So we have retail. This is some of the things, wholesale and all that. This is a division within. Yeah, this is division within. So let's see if we can. I think division would be around. Let's see, logistics. Okay, this is it. So I can go to logistics under definition and create a division. So we can say new entry. You can say IB wholesale then in the assignments assign division to sales organization. You can do that now. IBTC division is IB. Click on enter and we save.
It's the only one you are creating. No, they are division. They have
No,
retailer, warehouse.
in your own time, please create as many as possible.
Yeah.
The process is the same. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can you would tie all your sales organization to all the divisions you have.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how it works. Then here under assignment, we have setup sales area. So we go to setup sales area. So sales area is a combination of the distribution channel and division. Sales organization. So we are going to map the distribution channel and divisions to the sales organization. That's what we call the sales area. So I'm just going to click on new entries. The sales organization is IBTC. The sales channel, I believe, distribution channel should be R1. And this is IB. So we have been able to map the distribution channel and the division to the sales organization. And we click on save. Yeah. So basically what all we are doing is to structure the enterprise in such a way that these individual objects can sync together. We are creating a flow of transactions such that when we go to the transactions and we're entering transactions and we select sales organization, the system should automatically pop up the division and the distribution channel if they are properly synced or they are properly assigned. Assign sales office to sales area. I think we created a sales office. So this is assignment of the sales area to the sales office. So just say new entries. Sales organization is IBTC. Division channel is R1. IB. Sales office should be IBTC. Let me check. IBTC. Enter. Then save. Then the next is assign sales group to sales office. So new. Sales office is IBTC. Sales group. What's the sales group? IBT. So we have assigned the sales office to the sales group. Then the last but not the least in assignments, assign sales organization to distribution channel and plant. So we'll say new. Sales organization is IBTC. Distribution channel is R1. Plant is IBTC. Is it? Yes. Okay, so enter and save. So we have been able to create a sales structure and a finance structure, and we have been able to do the assignments such that these transactions will flow. Right. So one of the ways to confirm these assignments and to see, okay, we'll get back to that when we're actually done. But these are the first two things that you do in the beginning of your configurations. So it starts by defining the structure, and for the module that you're responsible for, And all the parameters will be given to you or will be available to you during your requirement gathering session. You just have to create them and map them. You map them when you do your assignments. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to begin the finance work, which we have to do with setting up the what we call the variants, field status variants, posting variants, and which I think we're going to see the third one as we move along. So the next thing after you've done the assignment for your structure is to go to what we call the financial accounting global settings. Now I can easily call out T codes for you to start. We can just start entering those T codes, which I will make available to you anyways. If you check here, you will see the basic T codes, which I will give to you. So you can see all the T codes, create company code. So the next thing I want to do is the third one is the fiscal year variant. So I need to define the variant, the three important variants, then we'll go to the chart of accounts. So if I really want to go through this class, I don't need to take you through this path. I can say, oh, the next thing we have to do is we have to now define the fiscal year variant. Then I just give you the T codes and we continue. That would have been very, very fine by me, but I want you to appreciate the structure and the design such that if you don't remember any of these T codes, you can confidently say that you remember, you can navigate your way through the menu parts through the SPRO. So the next thing we're going to do is to define the variants. And we're going to start the configuration at the financial accounting global settings. The SD side will need all these settings, for us to actually continue. So if you go to the financial accounting global settings, you're going to see a lot of config options. We'll just take them one by one according to their area of relevance to this class. The first are the ledgers. So we'll go to ledgers. The next we have are the various fields. We go to fields. Here we can see the first variant we are going to be working on, which is called the field status variant. Now, what does a field status variant do? It actually determines how the various fields, the various documents will react. For example, if a field status says that a particular field, okay, so let me just make it easy to understand. So let's say, let me, for example, go to FP60. FP60 is Esther. This is the end user side, which you'll be seeing very, very soon. So you see that this is a field. This is a field, and if I want to do anything, you see that I try to go to the next field. The system threw up a field status, a notification that says specify account number. What it means is that if I don't, from the configuration, I've told the system that this field must be provided. It's what we call it's a required field. So the part in the area in the configuration that defines how fields behave and how they interact with the end user is the field status variance. That's what controls how fields throw back information at you. So the first we're going to define is to define the field status variant. we can remember, if you want to know the T code, right click on the execute screen and you will see the T code is OBC4. So the transaction code for your field status variant is OBC4. But I'm just taking you through this. So execute this. So we have to first define how the fields. So we already have existing field status variants. For example, if I double click on 001, or sorry, select this and go to the field status group. When we start creating GLs, if I double click on this, for example, you're going to see how these fields in the document work. So if I say that a particular field, for example, text, you see this text, if I come here, you're going to see text. So this is the text. Are you there?
Yes. It's optional. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So this text, if you check the back, the text here says optional entry. So you can, if you don't provide a text, the system will allow you to process the transaction. But if I choose required, it means that you must provide that field before you can proceed to the next. If I go to suppress, it means that field will not even show in this your document. So that's the essence of the field status. It controls how your documents behave or how they relate with the end user. So that's why somebody like Esther, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So when you're doing end user work and somebody is trying to, and a user tells you, I want to post, but this thing is not allowing me. Like it's requiring me to provide this field. So you who have learned, who have some information about configuration will know that the consultant has made that field required. So the user must provide information, the required information in that field before he can proceed. So this is where this is the area that controls how fields in documents behave. All right, so we're going to create our own field status variant or use the standard. We can copy from the standard. So let me just go back so you remember the steps. So just define, click on the side to copy, then use the copy sign. Change the field status variant. Please write my field, especially Okechukwu, my field status variant is IBTC. And patience, please write. So IBTC, click on enter. If anytime you see this option graded out, you just need to click on enter so that this field will be active. So click on enter to tell you to copy only entry, cancel, copy all. So click on copy all. 43 items copied is fine. And you say okay. So we have finally created our own field status. So to control how the fields work, select the field status and go to field status groups. So you're going to see the different groups. Let's say, for example, how will the bank account GL work? If I double click on it and go to general data, you see that text is optional. All these other ones are hidden. I want invoice reference to be optional. I want text to be mandatory, to be required. So I've set this and I'll click on save. Then I'll come here, change this to field status variants. Say okay. So I've successfully defined my field status variant. We have 3 variant principle. Please, you can write that. We have 3 variant principle. We have the field status variant, we have the fiscal year variant, and we have the posting period variant.
Okay, sorry, I have one question. We don't have this in sales distribution now, because I know we did something like this, assign also this field status variance in sales distribution. Yeah, you put
It depends. Yeah, of course. There are some sales documents that will require the field status variant, how the fields will work. When we come to that, you would actually see how that works.
Okay.
Okay, so just take note that the field status variants control how the fields work, whether you're in SD or whether you're in FI. Then the next thing we're going to do is to assign the company code to the field status variance we just created. So go to the activity icon. You can check the T code OBC5. So if I don't want to go through this menu part and I don't want to close this screen, I'll click /O, then OBC5.
Open a new page.
/O, yeah, will open a new page and send me to this transaction code. So I'll do that. So it has taken me straight to OBC5. So like I said, it's either you go through the menu part or you use the transaction codes. Either you execute this or you use the transaction codes. All right, so I'll go to position, look for my company code. The field status there by default is 010010. So I'm going to change it to IBTC, which is the field status variant I created. Then I'm going to save. So I am done with this assign company code to field status variance. This is sub-screen, so this is not relevant. So we are done with this. I'm going to close the fields. After the fields, remember this is under ledgers. Under the fields, we have ledgers. And I'll go to ledgers. We have define settings for ledger and currency types, deactivate ledgers, define ledger groups. So I'll go to define settings for ledgers and currency types. Okay, so for the finance team, in S4HANA, which is why this is one of the major difference between ECC and S4HANA. In S4HANA, you cannot proceed with transactions without defining your ledgers. And in SAP S4HANA, we have 3 types of ledgers. Ledgers are basically used in S4 for reporting purposes. We have the leading ledger, we have the non-leading ledger, and we have the extension ledgers, or what we call the appendix ledgers. All these ledgers are used, the essence of these ledgers is for reporting, where you have to report according to a particular accounting principles, which will be either FRS, IAS, GAAP, or the one for Germany. So the essence of ledgers is to give flexibility in doing parallel reporting. And ledgers and accounting principles, which are, for example, FRS or GAAP, are also used to enhance reporting according to a particular standard. So for this page, we're going to define the currency types we have for this company code. Like I told you, we have over, I can't place that now, but we have above 30 types of currencies. I'm going to show you the ones that are operational. Also show you how we're going to do the currency conversions, set up the ledgers and the accounting principles, basically. So you can see that we have all these ledgers already existing, but let's go to the currency types. So double click on the folder currency types. So here now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 standard currency types used for various currency valuations according to the organizational object we are working on. Document currency is the standard currency, is the currency that, so let's say, for example, if I want to post a vendor invoice, for example, I go to FB60. This is a currency. This is document currency, USD. It's also what we call the home currency, right? So that's why we have here the document currency. It's also what we call the company code currency. Controlling area currency is a currency for the CO module, which is used for planning cost, product costing, cost center accounting, and the rest. Group currency is used to do when you're doing consolidation for different company codes. You have to define a group currency, which would be the currency of the HQ. Then the other currencies are used for different purposes. Index currency probably to do exchange rate differences. Hard currency also looks like the company code currency. Controlling object currency still with the controlling area, but these are the available currency objects we have in S4. Right, so this is existing. We don't need to do anything here. The next we'll have to go to is global currency conversion settings. So if you have more than, if your company is a global company and each company code uses different currencies. Let's say, for example, the HQ is in Germany, and I think the currency the German country uses is euro, right? Patience, you guys use euro. Hello? Patience, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I think Patience is on. Okay. So if the HQ is in Germany,
Kelechi, sorry, I can hear you, but my mouse is making problem. I couldn't click mute. Okay. So we use euro, it's true.
What currency? Euros.
Euro,
okay,
euro.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
So that could be the global currency because it's at the HQ. If the company has an office in Nigeria, of course, Nigeria is going to be using the company code currency or the document currency, which is Naira. If they have another office in the US, that company code is going to be using the home currency, which is USD. So the essence of global currency setting is to define a currency that they will be reporting, during conversion. So let's say, for example, we want to do consolidation of all these individual company codes in different countries. The reporting currency to the group HQ will be euro, because euro is the currency of the group HQ, of the HQ, basically. Right. So basically, we have 3 currencies for the global currency conversion. We have the company code currency, controlling area currency, and the controlling object currency. We can also add the currency conversion settings for company code. We can now add probably the group currency. So if we go to the next tab, double click, ignore these messages. Here you're going to see currency conversions. And we're going to try to set up our currencies to report in a particular way and form. So here we have, so what I would do is to, you can copy, I have this here, which is fine. Okay, so GBP is my home currency. So let me just copy this. Or you can just click on new entries, anyone is fine. So my company code is IBTC. The currency of valuation type is 30, which is the group currency. Like I said, we want to report to the group, so we need to define the group currency. And the group currency is GBP, which is, this should be pounds by settings. But let me see if I can, because I copied, let me see if I can change this. I'm sure you want to cancel, yes. So let me just say new entries, IBTC. That's my company code. So I want to be able to define the group currency. So I'm going to select 30. The group currency is in euro, so I'll have to select euro instead of GBP. EUR, European euro. The source. So I'm going to select.
Kelechi, 3 minutes to go.
Okay, thank you. So this group currency is going to be getting the source from the company code currency, because it's from the company codes that the group would be able to convert. So when Nigeria, for example, the company code in Nigeria, if the company code in Germany wants to do consolidation, it will convert from the home currency in Nigeria, which is Naira, using the existing exchange rate, and give you the value in euro. So we are going to be using the home currency as the source. The exchange rate type. In SAP, we have the standard exchange rate type, which is the standard translation at average rates. So just note that down. The translation date, we're going to be using translation dates, which is the date we decide to do the foreign currency translation or valuation. So when we select this, so what we are trying to do is to define the company, is to assign the global company, the global currency to our own company code currency, which is what we call currency conversion. Click on enter and save. So these are accounting principles, which I'll put you through later. Then I'll say new. So this would be settings for currency conversion. In ECC, you don't need to do this, right? So that's one of the major differences between ECC and S4. In S4, you have to work on the settings for ledgers and currency types. In ECC, it will just allow you to go through. So we have defined the currency conversion settings for company code. We need to, here, all we need to do here is to define a group currency for our company code currency. It's important for since we have company code, and since we have company and company code, we need to define the group currency for the currency the company code will use when it wants to do conversion, when it wants to do exchange rate conversion, to the group. The next we have is the ledgers. So just going to double click on ledgers. I told you we have three types of ledgers that might come up in your interview. We have the leading ledger, appendix ledger, and the non-leading ledgers, right? So we have already did some of these ledgers, and you can only have one leading ledger. You can have more than one of the other two, but you can only have one leading ledger, and that leading ledger is what is basically used for reporting purposes. So we have a leading ledger, so we're cool. We're not going to be creating. We can create one more non-leading ledger for IBTC. So we can just copy. We can just create new, and let me see. Can just copy one from here. So our non-leading ledger will be IB. Okay. IB, which is IBT. So non-leading ledger is a standard ledger, standard journal. We don't have an accounting principle yet. So just click on enter, copy all. As dependence, only copy entry. Then we save. Okay. So we're just going to be done with this and take our break. So we have a non-leading ledger, which also has the nature of the difference is that the leading ledger is the standard ledger and is used by the company code for reporting. Non-leading ledger can also be used for other reporting options, depending on the need of the company, right? So you can use your non-leading ledger to report on other, for example, if because of international transactions, Nigeria, for example, will be reporting using FRS, IFRS. US company will be reporting using GAAP. So it's important that if you would have reporting based on different accounting principles, one of these ledgers would report, for example, if Nigeria needs to report, if Nigeria is a group and needs to process reports in other currency, other principles, accounting principles other than IFRS, you can use the non-daily ledger to process that. So you can use the non-daily ledger to do probably process your financial information in GAAP other than IFRS. So this is what basically these ledgers are for. So I've created a non-leading ledger and I've saved that. So the next thing we're going to do, the next thing we're going to do is just to go back to the ledgers. Let me see. Just to have a non-leading ledger. Okay, so I have a non-leading ledger and I have my IB. So the next thing is company code settings for ledger. So I need to assign my company code to these two ledgers I've created. So I'm going to double click on my company. I'm going to select the first one. I want to assign the company code to my leading ledger for reporting purposes. You can see the accounting principle here is GAAP. So I'll just try to remove that. I'm going to save that. It's valid for all company codes. Okay. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, I think this is already in use. Let me see if I can sort it out back. Okay, so it was giving me a notification that this accounting principle that was selected here is used by other company codes, and we're using a US company, so GAAP is fine. So I'll just have to retain that in GAAP. So we have selected the principle we're going to be using. It's fine. And this is just an error. So select the leading ledger, double click on company code settings for ledgers, always close this screen. Then look for your company code, IBTC. Okay, so you can see that we have not assigned that yet. Okay, so at the top here, you can see that outside the local and the global currency, we have other currencies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 10 currencies, right? So you have the freedom of actually reporting in 8 other currencies other than the global and the local currencies, right? So that is the freedom you have as regards reporting in other currencies. So I'm going to double click on my company code. Okay. Now you're going to see that IBTC is assigned. The fiscal year variant, which we're going to change later, is a 12 calendar period with 4 special periods. The posting period variant we also will need to change. Is these are from the standard, but of course when we do our configuration, we're going to make these changes. And we have parallel. The accounting principle we're using is GAAP. The functional currency we'll use is the company code currency. Then you have this parallel accounting, which will mean that we're going to be using more than one accounting principle, both GAAP and IFRS. If we select this option, it means we're going to be using more than one accounting principle if we use the non-leading ledgers. So I'm just going to save this. Okay, so this posting video, you can use, see if we did any posting variant. No, so let's use this V001. We will set up our own variant once we leave this session. Okay, so what we have done is to tell the system that for this leading ledger, we have assigned our company code. We are using GAAP as our accounting principle. The functional currency we're using is our company code currency, which is in US dollars. Currency type is still the same. The source is from the document currency 00. And like I said, if we're going to use more than one currency, then we can use this parallel accounting and sort that out. But for now, we're just going to use the leading ledgers. Then you can go to accounting principles. So here we have IFRS that has also been assigned to our company code, which means that for our leading ledgers, we're going to be using GAAP. Also, we are still going to be reporting on if need be in IFRS. So we have 2 accounting principles. If we don't want this, we can easily just click here and delete this. So it's not compulsory. It depends on the configuration requirement of the client. So we have this, we can save, and we are fine. So what we have successfully done is to tell the system that, look, we have, let me just start from beginning. We have about 8 types of currencies for valuation. For the global currencies, we have the 3 types of currencies. For the currency conversion globally, we have told the system that for where is my, oh, no wonder IBTC was not picked up here. Okay, IBTC is here. We have the group currency and we have the company code currency, right? And for the ledgers, we have the leading ledger, and for the company code setting for the leading ledger, we have our company code, which is IBTC, and we have this fiscal year variant, posting period variant, the accounting principle we're using, the functional currency, and every other setting. The essence of this configuration is in terms of reporting, right? So when you're reporting, you have to tell, of course, we are US-based company, so we'll be reporting using the requirement in the US, which is GAAP, and the fiscal year we're using is the 12th calendar fiscal year. We're going to learn about that in the next session, and the posting variant we're using is actually the default posting variant. So this is an important setting that the business requirement, during the business requirement gathering, you need to gather all these informations. You need to ask questions about their fiscal years, their postings, the accounting principle they are adopting, whether it's IFRS or it's GAAP, how many currencies do they report in? Do they do parallel accounting? Would they be reporting in more than one accounting principles? So as the functional consultant, this is part of your requirement gathering, especially for those in the finance space. So when we come back, we're going to go for a 15-minute break just to stretch our bodies. When we come back, we're going to look at the other variants. We're going to define a ledger group, then look at the other variants, which we call the fiscal year variant, and move forward to see other configurations that are relevant for the finance team to get started with. Right, and don't forget that once we are done, there are still more configurations we will actually look out for. I can't wait to get to the ledgers so that we can begin to test what we have done so far in terms of configuration and see how the system reports, what we have done. So I'm taking my time. I would have just used T codes to run through this. It won't take me anything, but taking my time to explain this process is such that when you're having conversations, if you don't remember the T codes, you can remember the process. When you remember the process, it's easy for you to explain, based on what you have, based on your understanding. All right, so thank you guys. This is around 7:42 here. So yes, I'm just going to do one more thing so that we'll get to 45, which is 3 minutes. So let me just define the ledger groups so that we can have exactly 15 minutes. So the essence of the ledger group is actually to also for the different reporting options you have, still around the different ledgers. I don't know why this is running. This also wants us to go for break. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here. Let's go for break. So we're ending this session with defining settings for the ledger groups. In the next session, we're going to look at the various options. Sorry, I have a chat here. Let me see. Okay, so the ledger group is up. Nothing much here. Ledger group just shows the different ledgers we have, appendix ledger. Remember the one we created, the non-needing ledger for, because the IBTC. Just save this. We're not doing much here. So if I select, for example, the leading ledger and go to ledger assignment, you can see that the leading ledger is the representative ledger, right? So this will just show you the different ledger groups. Let me see this. Yeah. So this will just show you the different ledger groups, and then you can basically do the assignment which we have just done. So we have wrapped up the ledger. When we come back, we're going to be looking at fiscal year and posting periods, which are the two remaining variants we have for this session. Then we are going to look at the global parameters, and look at some other functionalities when we come back. So this is exactly 7:45, so 15 minutes, which would be 8 my time. We should be back and continue this session.
Okay.
Yeah. Please, if you have any questions, once we return, I'd like to attend to questions. If you feel free to ask questions, and after the class, I would love you to also go through the videos. When we come for the new class, ask questions. We'd like to attend to them before we move, to the next session. So thank you very much, guys. See you in 15 minutes.
Thank you.